and welcome today. There's a lot of people here, over 150. So thank you so much for joining us on this Friday. My name is Samantha Brett, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be your host today. We're talking all about side hustles. Now, I don't expect any of you to know who I am, but I am the queen of side hustle. I am a journalist. I've been a journalist for over 15 years. And more recently, I was the Sunrise early news reporter. So I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I would do my hair and makeup really quickly. I would head out the door. Everyone always asks that. Who does your hair and makeup? I'm like, me. Head out the door and I would go to the scene of the day. So whether it was a bushfire or a flood or a crime scene or something happy, I would be covering that, and I would be doing news from 5:30 in the morning till about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I would do the afternoon news and sometimes even the 6 p.m. news, and then I would go home and I'd work on my side hustle. And so whether that was a book I was writing or a column I was writing for a newspaper, or more recently creating a sunscreen brand, because everyone needs sunscreen when they're out on the road and there's a lot of sun in your face and you're wearing a full face of makeup and you still need good sunscreen. So my side hustle has recently become a full-time hustle, and I quit my dream job as a news reporter to full-time do my side hustle. So now I'm a CEO and a boss of a beauty business, and I've never done anything like that before. And it has completely changed my life and taught me many, many skills. And there's a lot of things I don't know. So I'm here today as well to learn from our beautiful panel of speakers. I know you guys as well might be looking to do side hustles or are doing side hustles at the moment, or wondering how to make the leap from your full-time job into making your side hustle full-time. So we'd really love to hear from you in the chat. What are you working on at the moment? What is your side hustle? Tell us a bit about your business, because we'd all love to know who's here and what you guys are up to. But today we're here to do this amazing lunch and learn, and I'm so impressed that all of you guys have taken out the time today. So I just want to make a quick disclaimer. You're going to learn a lot of things today from these incredible speakers. A quick reminder that the information that we cover is general in nature and does not take into account anyone's specific financial situation. So bear that in mind. If necessary, seek professional advice that's specific to your own circumstances. So before we start, I'm just going to hand over to Amber from Westpac to do the official introduction. Over to you, Amber.
Thank you so much, Sam. Good afternoon, everyone. As Sam said, my name is Amber Joyce, and I'm lucky enough to be the Ruby lead here at Westpac. I would like to begin today acknowledging the Darral people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I am based today, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which you may be joining us from, and extend that respect to people on this call that identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. How exciting is this? We've got a really great turnout. To any first timers, welcome to this wonderful community. To our regular attendees, thank you for your continued support of PepTalkHer and the Ruby Connection. And to our speakers, thank you so much. We're keen to hear about your experiences and perspectives on all things side hustles. I know that there's going to be many takeaways that come from this conversation that we can share with our networks, friends and women alike, to continue to inspire, educate, build and boost our financial confidence. So we do have a slightly longer session plan to ensure we get to cover off as much content as possible. So without further delay, I'm going to hand back to the lovely Sam to get started. So enjoy, everyone.
Thank you, Amber. I've seen some of you introducing yourselves in the chat, leaving your jobs to start side hustles or just side hustling. I know how it was, early mornings, late nights. So yep, it is a bit of a grind, but it's all worth it in the end. So to hear about those stories, we're going to talk to our amazing panelists. I'd love you guys to introduce yourselves briefly to everyone. So we'll start with Nip. Nip, now you started Gigi's Flowers and Hampers. You were only 20 years old when you started. You have such a beautiful story about why you did it and how the business has evolved. But tell us, why did you start this business in the first place?
Thanks so much, Sam. So I have a beautiful little sister, Guyana, who has Down syndrome. Where I'm actually at my office, which she comes to work around about 11 o'clock after she's kind of done all of her activities. And I have a door, like we don't actually have a door in our office, and we have a whiteboard that we put as a door, but otherwise we have an open door policy. She's the only one out of like 50 employees that just barges through the door, even though I'm very busy. And so she's very known for like popping her head into Zoom calls that I'm in. So if she does pop in, I do apologize. But I started it for her. My family and I saw the lack of meaningful employment opportunities available to people with disabilities, and we knew we had to do something about it. That's what we did. We built a florist in our bathroom, and then it went to the garage. And finally, about a year and a half ago, it got a shop front. And I can't tell you how great making that transition, from the bathroom to the garage all the way to a shop front has been for us. But it hasn't been without its trials, I can assure you.
I've heard a lot of people starting businesses in their kitchen, never in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll delve into a bit later. Okay, next up we have Nicole. Now you're the founder of Kin Fertility. You have an incredible story as to why you started this as well. Tell us about that, Nicole.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks to everyone for joining. So my story actually started when I was 24, and I had left like my corporate job, and I was just trying to like find, I guess, like out more about my body and just like try to make sure everything was on track proactively. Ended up doing a fertility test, and the doctor came back and in a 5-minute consult told me that I had polycystic ovary syndrome, which is a reproductive condition, and that it would mean that I wouldn't be able to have kids and that I would be infertile. I wasn't thinking about kids when I was 24. It was like something that was really far away in my mind. But I think getting told that and having that option seemingly taken away, all of a sudden made me like start thinking about fertility a lot more and a lot more earlier than I would have otherwise. Ended up going on this like 2-week Google dive, as you do as a millennial who is confused. And couldn't find very good information, or just kept finding like conflicting information about polycystic ovary syndrome. Ended up going to a specialist who told me I not only didn't have polycystic ovary syndrome or any of the symptoms related to it, and also even if I did, it wouldn't mean that you wouldn't be able to have children. And so it was 2 counts of like misinformation. And so when I started talking about it to my friends, because I was like, this is so weird, there's no, like, this is just such a weird situation. The amount of like versions of me too, or like this happened to my friend, or like my friend also didn't get diagnosed with endometriosis for ages. That came out more and more. And I think it made me realize how, I guess, just like underserved women's health as a market is, and like information in reproductive health and information in women's health was just so lacking. And so that was sort of the start of my journey into Kin. And even Kin, we actually started as an education platform, like more Instagram, blog posts and things like that, just like me trying to put out information that I wanted for myself. And that sort of got traction. And that was when we took the next leap into actually thinking about it being business.
Amazing, and such a wonderful business. So can't wait to learn more about all the facets that you do. And next up we have Jane Moe. Now, Jane, you are a personal branding stylist and a style coach. Sounds very glamorous. What exactly is that?
Hi everyone. Yes, thank you, Sam. So it's been a journey of 15 years to get here, but I shouldn't say basically, but I help women align their personal style with their personal brand, to show up with energy, fire, tenacity, and just progress in business, attract their ideal clients, and just have the confidence to show up. And I do that through style. So it kind of started, as I said, 15 years ago. I was dressing TV presenters and, in the world of fashion, being a fashion editor for a fashion publication as well after that. And I just found, as I was going through and sort of progressing in my career, I just wasn't being fulfilled. So when I say that with so much hindsight. Like, it was just so I remember sitting there one day and thinking, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm just filling pages of magazines with advertising and, beautiful shoots with models. Why am I here? What is my purpose? And at the time, I had a handful of personal clients, real people that I was styling. And they had come to me by finding me and, in publications, and they saw my name. They reached out to me and said, do you help real people? Can you help me with my wardrobe? I want to show up like this. I want to be confident in my role at work. And yeah, it kind of just started the whole journey of like, maybe that's my purpose. I really want to be here to help people, and I want to be here to make a difference in someone's life. So that was back in, when did I actually say that to myself? 2015. It took me a couple of years to actually go, okay, maybe that's where I need to be. So I took a bit of a back step about 5 years ago, rebranded, relaunched, and here I am serving women in business. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Brilliant, Jane. And I think you've touched on so many things there, especially that question that you asked yourself of what is my purpose? And I think a lot of people, when they are in jobs or jobs that they feel aren't fulfilling them, that's when they really start to think about what is my purpose, and then they go into their side hustle. What a lot of people don't know, and I certainly didn't know this, is just how long it takes to get that purpose into a side hustle that then becomes a full-time career, and that then becomes something that has meaning, has purpose, and you love doing, and is your whole world. So congratulations to being able to do all that. But as we know, it is a big journey. So yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. All right, Nip, we'll come back to you. I just love how you started this business in your bathroom, and it is such a thriving business now. But talk us through, what were the challenges that you found to try and shift it from where it was to where it is now? And I'm sure you have a whole raft of challenges, but talk us through those early days. Oh, I think you might be on mute, Nip.
Sorry. I think that the hardest thing with any side hustle, right, is balancing purpose with money. And for us, that we're a social enterprise, we employ people with disabilities. And when we first started it, we were all about impact and purpose. And that's all well and good, like that's amazing, but purpose doesn't pay bills, and neither does doing the really good feel good stuff. And I think so my mum and I, who we started together, and the biggest boundary and barrier was actually being paid for the work that we were doing. We were doing such remarkable work, and we continue to do remarkable work, but in terms of weighing up impact and money, we kind of approached it in the wrong way. We approached it in the right way, but my biggest piece of advice is always to look at the numbers first. And maybe now I get a little bit too obsessed with the financial outcomes rather than the social outcomes, but I'm a very big believer in the financial outcomes. Once the financial outcomes are there, the social impact comes. It will come. You've just got to wait for it to be patient. But at the end of the day, you can't go to Coles and Woolworths and you can't say, hey, I work in a social enterprise, we employ people with disabilities, but can you pay for my groceries? That's just not a thing. So I think those early days, like any social, especially social entrepreneurs, like it's just such a hard industry to navigate. And I think even just little things like being paid, like we worked for 5 years with absolutely no money and no income coming in personally for us. And that's always difficult because you kind of need to, you still have your obligations. I was lucky to live with my parents because I was so young, but you've got to really balance that profit and the purpose. So yeah, that's how we began.
So how
I'm happy to say
No, you tell me what you're happy to say. Let's hear it.
I'm happy to say that we do get paid now. And in a way, you know, one of my mentors said, you've got to kind of think of a business like a chair. It's going to have 4 revenue streams. And when we first started, we only had one, which was just flowers. So then we diversified and we did flowers and we did gift hampers and we do NDIS supports. And now we have a shop. So there's actually 4 revenue streams in which we can have money coming in. So, you know, in a situation like a lockdown where your whole business goes, our flower business had to shut down, but then our NDIS business could operate because it was essential. And then vice versa, one time we couldn't operate our NDIS business, but our florist could run because delivering gifts was apparently essential. So yeah, so it's just kind of diversifying your income streams to ensure that you have different streams of revenue at any given time.
And in those early days, how did you fund the business? Was it just through your sales, or what did you do?
We cheated a bit. It was just through sales, but the cheating was the fact that we didn't have massive overheads. We were in, you know, our bathroom and in our family home, and my sisters, who kind of all come part and parcel with the business, we would volunteer our time. We all volunteered all the time. And we were really, really kind of making sure that we kept our overheads really low.
Such good advice there. Mainly get your family to help volunteer. I think I did the same thing. I pulled in one of my friends to do, you know, work experience. Exactly. Lean to start off with. And I love what you said about managing the finances. And I guess as you go on in a business, what's measured is managed, and you can have all the passion in the world, but if you, as you say, you're not getting the income in, you can't pay your staff, well, it just becomes one of those things that is unsustainable. Nicole, I want to go to you. Thank you, Nip. So you started off, Nicole, as a technology company, as you said. Did you feel at the time maybe you hadn't done that before, you didn't know enough about it, you weren't the best person to do that? And then tell us about the shift, because I noticed that you do so much more now than technology. Why did you start with technology, and tell us about the shift to where you are now?
Yeah, so just for a bit of background, for those who don't know Kin, so we essentially empower women to take control of their entire fertility journey. We started with contraception and being able to access the doctor online through a text-based consult, and where it was safe to prescribe, we would be delivering that pill to patients on like every 3 to 4 months. And then we've now moved on into the rest of the fertility journey. So really supporting women through conceiving, pregnancy, postpartum with things like prenatal health essentials and like postpartum recovery kits. And so it's been quite the journey over the last 3 years. And my background prior to Kin was in finance as like an investment analyst. I also did a bit of venture capital, and I started my after uni in management consulting. So quite like a business-based skill set. I had no healthcare background. I don't have a medical degree. In fact, I'm just a very, very average patient. And I think that was probably the part that like, I was very doubtful about going into this industry, not having that, because especially because like healthcare, it's not something you can actually do like a version 1 and like screw around with. Like it's a huge responsibility. People are trusting you with their health, their information. And so I was really, really conscious of that going into the industry. But I did think that being sort of like a really good patient helped, because all the sort of like journeys that you have, the sort of ideas that you have, you can push the thinking on in a different way, having not been in the industry that has thought a certain way for as long as it has. But I overcompensated on everything else. And so we brought in tons of, like a lot of advisors, spoke to as many people as I could, brought on like doctors really early, brought on legal, like a legal team really early. And so really tried to overcompensate for that. And yeah, I've never had tech or engineering experience either. So really like focused on what is the right team that I need to surround myself for me to feel safe, to deliver a product that will actually like make an impact, and do it safely and conveniently, and actually like hit the mission and the goals that I was looking for in Kim. Over time, so in our first year, we launched right before COVID. in the first year we launched contraception, we had over 40,000 members sign up with us. And that was really exciting. And I think like from there, it really showed that we could serve the market in a way that like made a difference. And so really wanted to see how else we could empower women through the rest of their fertility journey. And so from there, the shift was like not necessarily like tech to know or like to physical products, but really thinking through, okay, the type of patient that you bring in contraception is fundamentally the opposite / very different to the type of patient that is like thinking about conceiving and starting a family. And so really thinking through like, what are their needs? What are the problems? And so a lot of the like problem solving and thinking through what the, what we're going to offer as a business, those were very similar. But the solutions were very different. And so obviously going through like starting a family, there's a lot more like health products and supplements and like over-the-counter products rather than prescription products that are necessary. And so just diving into each of those solution areas, learning a lot about the regulated environment of supplements is actually really good in Australia for consumers, and learning what you need to do and just like, breaking down every single barrier that we found to like understand what is necessary and how we get a product to market.
Now this is sorry to interrupt, but this is so much that you're telling us about this incredible business, but we really want to know, you had this full-time job, you were doing something else. What was that moment where you said, okay, I really actually have to do this and I'm able to financially, all this stuff that you've had to hire all these people and you've had this big team, because this is not a one woman job. What was that moment like for you, and what helped you make that decision?
Yeah, I think for me, we started with like content for Kin, and so we already could see the traction that people were liking the content. There was demand for the content itself, and so the thinking started becoming, okay, like what else is there? And that was when we started talking to a lot of the people interacting with the content and just like seeing what they actually wanted. I think the moment for me was, I don't know, people like kept asking for like more, like whether it was more content or like, they just seemed like there was such a big gap in terms of what people wanted to know and what there was available. And I felt like there was like a long way to go. And so making that leap, I think just starting to talk to people in the industry, we were really fortunate in that we met a company called Eucalyptus very early on, and they're like a platform that helps launch healthcare brands. And so we partnered really early on just because we like had a very similar vision. We knew that like if we were going to hire this team, we needed the financing, we needed the team, we needed like a really strong backing. And so it just made sense to partner with like a company that like had seen these things before and had these capabilities, and also the investment side of things as well. And so as soon as that happened, it was just like go from there.
Made the decision much easier. Jane, I want to thank you for that. Your business and everything that you've done is just incredible. So huge congratulations. And I know everyone's sitting here listening going, wow, you have achieved so much. So we'll come back to you. Jane, you sort of made the jump, I think it was around 2017. What was that like for you when you finally found your purpose and made that jump? And then what happened in COVID? Because your job is very hands-on and you're meeting with clients and you're speaking to people. How did you cope during COVID?
Well, COVID was more or less a blessing for me because it shifted the way people thought about how I should interact in my business. So I fast forward, in 2019, we had just launched, like I went into rebranding mode. I had just launched my website. I had just gone, okay, here I am, everybody. I'm a personal branding stylist. This is my new website. This is my new brand. Here we are on social media. And then bam, COVID hit. Funnily enough, one of my clients booked a call and said, can you do a session over Zoom? And I went, oh, sure. This is a thing. And that kind of just pivoted my business. So now I spend a whole lot of time on Zoom. Zoom is my home. And the pandemic was like a blessing in disguise because now I'm pivoting again to putting my brain on an online course, starting a membership. And I just found that Zoom was the way to go. I now reach clients all over the world. I'm proud to say that I have clients in the US, in New Zealand, all over interstate here in Australia. So yeah, it's just, I mean, I just see the pandemic as a positive thing. I know a lot of people struggle through that, but I'm one of those people that, I guess, yeah, my parents raised me up this way, but I try to see it from a positive perspective and not be sort of surround myself in the negative aspects of the pandemic. That's my thing. So yeah,
I think there was a lot of learnings during the pandemic, and I love that your learning was to stay positive. I can see that Nip is nodding there. So Nip, for you, you have a florist, and I remember during the pandemic actually trying to go to my local florist because I guess you still wanted to give flowers to people for their birthdays, and you were engaging with the florist. But I know that you said that you pivoted as well. What was it like for you during the pandemic?
Yeah, so COVID was so fascinating. Like, obviously, at the start, everyone was like, "Oh God, what's happening?" Like I didn't even know that like this could happen. And we were exactly the same. So it was really quiet. And then obviously all the dinner parties and the birthday parties and the dinners and the graduations were cancelled. And people were in isolation for 14 days back then. So the only thing that you could do is send your your family and your friends gifts, so gift hampers or flowers, and our business just really took off. Every time we went into lockdown, we just took off because everyone wanted to send gifts. But the funny thing is about our model is, like, obviously we employ people with disabilities to deliver our flowers and work, but because they are such a vulnerable population, they all couldn't come to work because they were isolating and they were trying to keep themselves safe because they're all immunocompromised. So really, again, it came back. I couldn't believe it. After 8 years, me and my sisters, my whole family, we were just getting through every day, trying to do the best that we could do, to get the flowers out, to make sure that there was a business for our employees with disabilities to come back to when the lockdowns were lifted and they felt safe leaving their houses. But at that time, like, we couldn't close it because we wanted to be seen as the florist that everyone could go to, but we also didn't have any staff. So that was a really unique situation for us.
Thank you. Nicole, we're speaking a lot about challenges today. Obviously, COVID was one of them, but you would have had completely different challenges. You've got technology, you've got women, you're dealing with a whole range of actual emotional issues, physical issues. But that being said, Nicole, I know everyone's so intrigued by your business and how you've done it all, but I just want to know, what have been some of the major challenges that you've gone through, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, I think one of the, and like especially going into, I guess, like even back to COVID, the like consistency of change is like, it's the only constant that you actually have. COVID was a big one. Like, we launched right before the pandemic in February, and then the pandemic really started to hit and like lockdown happened. With the pill especially, people just like started going online for it when they realized there was that ability to. And so we were like a tiny little business trying to get things together. We had just launched. Our pharmacy partner was like not ready to take on a lot of demand. At the same time, regulations started changing in the prescription space. There was a ton of stockouts as well in the contraceptive pill. And so here we were making like a promise about, hey, we're going to get you your contraceptive pill, and we're going to get it to you on time. And all of a sudden we like didn't have stock in a reliable way. And so a lot of the learnings, and this is kind of consistent across like any change we had, was like, you are making a promise to your patients or your customers, and you've just got to find a way to make it work. And so we took every single patient really, really seriously. And like, if we weren't able to fulfill it, we were like out calling every single pharmacy that we could find in their area to make sure there was a pill that they could be get safely and get conveniently. And so like, we were going really out of our way, doing things that didn't scale to make sure that we were actually fulfilling our promises. And then where there were things that were like not possible, we were like being really transparent with our patients. And so I think that's like consistent in like any change that we face as well, any challenge that we face, just like complete transparency with patients about what's going on, why you're making the decisions that you are making, sharing with your community like how you're thinking about the situation and like what solutions you're proposing, and really try and bring them along the journey. That has helped us almost every time we face the challenge we almost feel like is quite insurmountable.
Thank you. Jane, we're getting a lot of feedback for you. You are incredible in the way that you use social media and that you engage with people. I guess the question is, how do you find clients? Do they come to you? Do they reach you through social media? And also, I guess some tips on just how to be confident on social media. I know a lot of us are sort of scared, to go on there. So yes, just wanted to know, firstly, I guess, how do you find your clients?
Social media. I think at about 90% now of my business comes off social media. It's the new marketing tool, and it's free, first of all. So we should all be taking advantage. So yeah, to answer your question, Sam, it started off with me being really, I would say it was the hardest thing for me to do. I mean, when you're a personal brand and when you have to show up on social media and when your face is all over the place, it's like, it's the next level of fear that you have to actually overcome and talk yourself out of that little voice in your head telling you that you're going to be judged by everyone, and actually show up. So yeah, it took a lot for me. And at the time, so when we first launched, a few months before that, I hired a social media branding manager. And so she curates my whole feed as you see it now. And so she said to me, look, I'm putting up all this content. I really need you to show up on camera because it's going to help us grow on Instagram. It's going to help you connect with the right clients. And I just I need you to show up so I can actually boost the amount of work that I'm doing on your platform. So I was like, okay, all right. So I'm going to have to, okay, all right. What does that mean? What does it even mean? So she said, okay, I want you to take a, just a picture of like coffee. Like when you're out getting a coffee, just take a picture and say, tag the company and say what a brilliant day you're having. It started off like that. And then she made another assignment and she said, can you just like say hello to the camera? And now it's habit. That was 2 years ago. And now it's habit that I have to show up every day on camera. And I tell you what, if I'm not on camera that day, I feel like I haven't had breakfast because it's become a home now. And I've now built so many good relationships over my Instagram. I tell you what, I have so many good conversations with women on DM that inform my messaging and my copy. And the fact that they have the time to sit there and write paragraphs and paragraphs of how they're feeling and how I can help them, it's gold. Like, it's absolute gold. I mean, my partner will tell you this because I'm always on my phone going, oh my God, she just said this. I should put this on my copy. This is how she's feeling, and it's, yeah. So, I mean, I've been having a conversation the last 2 days with a couple of other women who are going through mindset issues of showing up and how they can, feeling like they're not worthy. It's a whole lot of stuff to go through, this whole like trying to show up as a personal brand, how to use social media. So for me, social media has been a great tool, like nurturing my relationships, getting people through, and yeah, just knowing that I'm not a person, just a photo. Like, I'm not just a photo. I'm actually a human being that's here, ready to connect with you, ready to help you. So I use a lot of video content. I'm really good on video. I'm shit at writing copy. Really, like that's my struggle. But when I show up on camera, I know I can connect, and I use video on social media as a connection. And a lot of my clients, when they, by the time they jump on a sales call, book your 30-minute freestyle consult call, they've already watched all my content. And they always say, I've watched your videos. I love your energy. I know that I can hang out with you and have a drink and we can, have a banter. And that's my, that's kind of my little secret sauce. Yeah, it's camera and video. I love video.
And you look amazing on camera, and you do it so well. So yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, but I love that you say, you know, that was 2 years ago when you first started, and you started small with the coffee and then you expanded on. We're getting quite a lot of questions about marketing strategies and paid ads. And I guess I'm not sure if that applies to your business, Jane, but I know it would definitely apply to Nicole and Nip, and I know it applies to Naked Sundays as well. But do either of you want to jump in and just talk a bit about how do you guys get new customers? How do you, and do you use paid ads? And if so, people are asking, do you teach yourself? Do you do it yourself? Nip, jump in.
I think for me, it's a combination. When I first started, I literally just started with a Facebook page, and it was just before Valentine's Day, and I just invited all my friends, and they invited their boyfriends and girlfriends, and away we went. So I did a lot of paid advertising in the start, but now I don't really do much. We have about an $800 spend on Google. I don't know what it does. I used to know, but I now can't understand it. It's just so complicated. And so like it's just above my kind of knowledge base. But I literally use Google My Business. They're really amazing. And I just they tell me what to do. And then every so often I'll get in a professional just to have a tweak and just check that our Google AdWords and stuff are working. Other than that, it's just word of mouth. We're really lucky because like we operate a lot on social acumen. Like people that really care about social enterprise, they're our customers. So yeah, we do a bit here and there, but I also do a lot of speaking, and I kind of really try and do that marketing in like internally and externally, which I think has been the best way. Free.
Love it. Thank you. All right, we're going to end off. It's gone so quick. We're almost finished here, but I just wanted to know from you three, what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned and that, you know, you hope that people would take away from your entire journey? Nip, we'll start with you.
Okay, for me, it is, again, you've got to work the numbers, and you've got to pay yourself. And I understand that in the start, it's not actually possible, but that's got to be a goal. You can't work for free forever, because obviously it's a side hustle. And for a lot of people, like, they just want it to remain a side hustle, but everyone's dream is to make it a full-time hustle. And so I think it's knowing your worth and valuing it and figuring out a way to make money, because if you haven't found a way to turn over money and make money in that, then your business model is potentially not working. But that's not saying that it can't work. You just kind of got to tweak it a little bit.
Nicole?
For me, it's to the fact that you'll never feel ready. And so if you are feeling that you're nervous or uncomfortable, instead of being scared of that, try to lean into it, because it will mean that you ask more questions, you lean on help where you need it, you'll think through things more and make better decisions. Lean on that nervous energy a little bit, but don't feel that just because you don't feel ready, it means you can't do it. It just means you might need to work a little bit harder or think through things a little bit more, but it's the right level of energy because it means you care.
Yes, it does mean you care. I love that. Jane? Your biggest lesson that you hope everyone will take away from today and from your whole journey?
Know your worth. Know your worth. I'm a service-based business, and know your worth, know your client, know how to charge, and don't be scared to charge your worth, because there are clients for everyone out there. I have, either premium, I would say a premium clientele. And at first, when I first launched, people were like, oh, people are going to pay that for someone to come into their wardrobe and tell them what to wear. They do. I tell you what, they do. And don't be scared. Don't be scared to really stick to your guts and be like, no, I know this client exists and I'm going to charge this. My other lesson is hire the right people around you. I invest a lot in business coaching programs, because those are the people who are going to be there cheerleading you on, so you make the right decisions and you stick to your guns. Because I tell you what, when that little voice tells you that it can't be done, that little voice can actually take over. So yeah, my biggest lesson was invest in coaching, in business coaching. Yeah.
Love that. We're getting a couple more questions in here. So I've been asked to say my biggest lesson. I don't even know where to begin. I am now the CEO, the marketing manager. I'm the finance person. I create sunscreen. So I'm a chemist. I'm a salesperson. I learned how to do everything by myself. I've never done any of this before, but I guess everything is available for you to learn. And as Jane said, if you can't do it, hire the coach or ask people around. Like Nicole, she got all those people around her, all those experts to explain to her how this is working. And you'd be surprised just how many people will help you and give you advice if you just pick up the phone. Today, I picked up the phone to a massive business consultant and I said, oh, how much are your fees? And she said, oh, we started $1 million, but here's 15 minutes of my time and I will tell you what I think you should do. And that was just invaluable. And people will help you with your side hustles. People are asking on resources for getting investors. So I remember when I first started, I literally Googled angel investors, literally, and a list came up on Google and there was 50 of those, and I emailed every one of them and I saw if any of them were in the beauty space. Or I found incubator programs like StartMate, Start and Scale, and I emailed them and I spoke to them. And now 18 months on my business, I still speak to those people from those companies. They remain my mentors and I speak to them often, and we check in every 6 months. And maybe I'm doing a raise now and I say, hey, I'm doing a raise now. What do you guys think? And we're 18 months on and we might not have been right then, but just reach out to as many people as possible for your side hustle. The other question I've got is the work-life balance with your side hustle. And let me tell you, for the first 9 months of Naked Sundays, I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. I was on Channel 7 every day. No one knew about my side hustle. And I literally would come home after waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd work till midnight. And there is no such thing. If you're going to start your side hustle and it's going to become your full time, and I can see the other girls nodding, that's just going to be it. There is no work-life balance. I have a child, I'm a mom, I'm a worker, and it just, and one day you can just quit one thing, not your child, obviously, but you could quit one of your jobs and make one of them a full time. But startup world and side hustling is just that, it's hustling. So I know all the panelists here, we're sending you guys so much love and best of luck with your side hustles. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to PepTalkHer for having me on today. I know Maggie's away, so she had me on instead. But I'll just read my goodbye. There's been a fantastic session. Thank you to everyone. A reminder that this is recorded and will be loaded to the Ruby Connection YouTube channel. Happy Friday. I went 1 minute over, but I just want to say thank you to everyone. We had almost 200 people here today. So have a wonderful weekend, and any questions, you know where to find all of us. Bye. Thank you.